Hello, beautiful people. Nice to be here. I wanted to talk to you today about what it means to be living in a binary consciousness. I'm hearing that come out of my mouth, hearing what it felt like when I first heard that. So binary consciousness it's a human design terminology. What it means, in my experience and my understanding so far, is that we have the consciousness that we know to be our consciousness, what we think, what we know, how we operate currently, or what we've, that's good. And we have another consciousness that I would refer to as our unconscious, our body consciousness, our design consciousness. Like traditionally, or like before human design, for me, I was very well aware of the fact that we had head and heart, or mind and body, or these two separate but together ways of experiencing the world. Mostly because most things teach that we are not just our mind, and that we are here to, lots of the teachings that I have had and taught have been living from the body, trusting the body, getting out of our own way, which means watching what the mind says that's actually giving us resistance to what is our truth. So imagining that our truth is in the body, the heart, and then our mind says, I can pause. Here's an example. The body says, oh my God, yes, I want to do that amazing thing. That is such a yes. And then the mind goes, oh no, you better not. Like all the stories come in. People are going to look at you. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough is a big one. You're not good enough. That's crazy. Mine's always that. You're crazy. You can't do that. So that's the mind saying you can't do the thing. But there's a place in the body that goes, well, yes, it's a yes for me. For the little voice in here, it's a yes for me. That is the two consciousnesses. And obviously they're called different things in human design. And to be fair, they might be slightly different things. It depends on you and your unique design and your experience. But for me, that's the best way that I can explain it so far. Now, the thing that has been new and really mutative, or brought me into a whole new place from being in the experiment of human design, is so many things. But what I wanted to talk about today is that we're all, our current dimension, our current society, our current culture and life on this plane teaches us that we are our mind, that we are just one thing, one consciousness, one way of thinking, being in the world. And that teaches us that it's our mind. So probably many of you, if you've come to be watching this video, are aware that you've got other ways of making decisions. Or, even pre-human design for me, I had what I used to call a body knowing. There is a body knowing. There's muscle testing, there's kinesiology, there's all sorts of sciences now, or modalities that say there's a different knowing than the thinking knowing. But what really shifted things for me was the understanding, or the learning, that our mind consciousness, our black in our human design chart, our personality consciousness, doesn't have any access to our body consciousness, the red in our chart. I still refer to it as heart often. That's not human design, that's just Catland. Doesn't have any access to it. So even when you're probably finding your mind saying this to you right now, even when I say this to you right now, your body knows. Your mind is saying, well, it sort of knows, but ultimately, obviously, I'm the one calling the shots. Just notice it and see if it's there for a minute. I'm to tell you that your body is vastly more powerful and trustworthy at making decisions. What does your mind say? Doesn't like it very much, probably. Wants to interject, wants to have a debate with me about it. So that's the piece. Notice that that's what the mind will do to protect itself. And it's not even, even saying to protect itself puts a negative edge on it. It really just has a limited capacity. It doesn't have the awareness. It cannot conceptualize anything else apart from the fact that it is in charge. It's like a computer system that only has limited capacity. It's the software that does the thinking, and it hasn't been programmed to tell that there's another option, because that's not its job. Yeah. The actual word for me is awareness. The mind does not have the awareness. No, actually, pull back. No, access. The mind does not have access. There's a whole nother part of our being, a whole nother part of our consciousness, our body consciousness, our red in our chart, that our mind isn't privy to, has not been told that it exists, just doesn't have access to. So just, let that land for a minute. The mind says, oh no, but I know everything. Well, yeah, you know everything that you've been programmed to know, but you don't actually have access to this whole other way of being, this whole other trustworthy way of making decisions. This whole other thing, which we'll get to in another video, perhaps. So just notice that. The mind doesn't have access to it. The mind is limited in its capacity for knowing. Yeah, there's so many things. There's so many ways that this has comes through in different modalities, and there's so many ways that this has even been proven now. But that little piece really helped me. Just because the mind will incessantly tell you, has been incessantly telling me that it sees all and it knows all. And each time now I invite you that when you notice your mind saying something like that, but I don't understand, so it can't be. I haven't heard of that, so no, so it's a no. Just remember, your mind actually hasn't been programmed to know all the things. It just knows the mind's department. It just knows the mind things. It hasn't been given clearance to the whole system. It doesn't have an access. Doesn't have any access to what else, to the bigger consciousness part of you. Yeah, that's wild, right? Yeah. So, just thought I'd share that with you today. Blessings to you. Enjoying your ride, I trust. And I'll see you in another video. Love.